Hey folks, welcome back to Technology for Blind YouTube channel. I am back with another video for all of you guys. So in this video we are going to look at the disk management tool in Windows 10. Okay, so we are going to talk about partition management in Windows 10. Alright, so this is not only for Windows 10. You can apply these things on Windows 7, 8 and other operating systems as well. I mean Windows operating systems, not others like Mac and Linux, because I don't know how these things work. Now this is only for Windows. Okay, so if you are new here to the channel, welcome, and be sure to subscribe and enable the notifications so you will be notified about future videos. Okay, so let's get started. Before jumping into practicals, let's learn about theory. What is a partition? So those who are not aware of these terms, let me explain. Now first, a disk is a physical hard drive which is used to store data. Okay, the simplest example which I can give you is the USB flash drive of yours. Okay, either it is a memory card or a USB flash drive. We can treat disks, DVD disks, as USB physical media, but we can't manage that because that's permanent media. Now here we are talking about rewritable. Okay, so hard drives and USB flash drives are rewritable, so you can rewrite data as long as you want. Okay, now partitions are like we are dividing the available size into chunks. Okay, so for instance, let's say you have got a 1 terabyte partition, the physical disk, which means 1000 GB. Okay, so in my case what I have done is I have divided into few partitions. For instance, 500 GB would be dedicated to my system, which means all of the operating system files and required programs, necessary files and other things related to running the OS will be stored in that 500 GB of partition space, whereas other remaining space will be dedicated to other stuffs like movies, pictures, music, all those unnecessary stuffs which will be nice if we can separate those, right? So that's how the thing works. Okay, so another thing is you can use separate partitions to install multiple operating systems to your existing computer. Okay, so for instance, say you'd like to run Windows 7 and Windows 10 as multiple operating systems, which I have done before, because you know when we move to Windows 10. Now in my case I didn't use Windows 8 much, just it came with my laptop, but I was using Windows 7 for a long time, so I tried Windows 10 besides Windows 7 before switching to my main operating system. So that was a nice experience where I can try Windows 10 while using Windows 7 for my main things. Okay, so in that case you can use separate partitions for installing multiple operating system in a disk. Okay, so as I said, say you have got 1 terabyte of storage drive, hard disk drive, so you can dedicate 500 GB for your main operating system, in our case Windows 7, and another 500 gigs to install Windows 10 to try it out. Okay, so that's called multi-boot. Okay, that's very simple. Okay, so that's the theory. Okay, that's how the thing works. So let's move into practicals. Now there are mainly two ways in which you can manage partitions, manage disks on Windows. Okay, now I'm specifically talking about Windows. Okay, so do not worry about any other stuffs because those are very complicated. There are softwares to manage partitions and disks, complex setups, which in the future let's discuss. Okay, for now let's look at the basics. Now the first way to manage the disk partitions in Windows is by using the graphical user interface GUI called disk management tool. Okay, which is kind of a stripped down version where you have got simplest things. Okay, the other thing is the other way in which you can manage partitions is the command line tool, which is called diskpart, okay, which is kind of complex, and you have to know everything, or kind of you have to understand what is going on before using that thing, okay. So that's a little bit technical, so we will be looking at that command line tool in upcoming video, okay. Now let's look at the disk management tool. So to open the disk management tool in Windows, now in my case I'm running Windows 10, but the procedure will be same for other Windows operating systems as well, right? So the most easiest way which I use to open Windows disk management tool is by opening the Run Dialog by pressing Windows plus R.
Run Dialog, type the name of a program, folder, document, or
and type Diskmgmt.msc, okay. So disk, disk, mgmt, m for mic, g for game, again m for mic, and again t for text, okay, dot m for mic, s for screen reader, and msc, c for cat, okay. So mgmt.msc, hope you have got it, and I'll leave the command in the description of this video, so you can copy and paste if you wish, okay. So press enter,
text unavailable, secure desktop,
and allow the permission.
Disk management, level 0, disk management 1 to 1, disk management 1 to 1, level 0, list, disk.
Alright, in a minute, after opening the disk management, if you have got multiple drives, which I have in my case, it might take a little bit to initialize and load, so that's also there. Now at first, when you open disk management, you will be landed on a list box, okay, which will list all of the currently available partitions, okay. So partition means like C colon, D colon, E colon, F colon, all those things, okay. So another word for that is also that, okay, we use, right. Now press down arrow and you will hear what's going on in my system. Let's see.
Data, E, layout, simple, type, basic, file system, NTFS, status, healthy, primary partition, capacity, 911.51 GB, free space, 548.15 GB, percent free, 60% 2 of 8. Files, layout, simple, type, basic, file system, NTFS, status, healthy, active, primary partition, capacity, 20.01 GB, free space, 9.86 GB, percent free, 49% 3 of 8. Okay, so it gives a lot of information on what's going on with the partition, how much the capacity, how much has been used, and what is the leftover capacity, all those stuff, which is very useful in case of managing partitions, okay. So new volume, D, layout, simple, type, basic, files recovery, layout, simple, type, basic.
So there are now sorry for that, another small thing which is sort of a disclaimer, guys. If you plan to kind of manage partitions, create or delete partitions, there is a risk, right? There is a little bit of risk where sometimes if you didn't do the thing correctly, or if you haven't understood the procedure or the theory how this thing works, you might ruin your operating system, okay. So I highly recommend you to kind of learn all the stuff before jumping into managing partitions, as there are system partitions as well. For instance, the C colon is your main operating system partition where your Windows is running. You cannot delete that partition, as it will say it is not unavailable. It is unavailable. There are some protections, but you have to be careful, okay. If you can, make sure to get a kind of a backup of your data before managing partitions. That will ensure that you are protected in case of any things went wrong, okay. So that's aside.
System reserved, layout, simple, type, basic, file system.
Now the system reserved is a sort of a small partition where Windows will store its basic files to load, okay. So don't mess up with that, okay.
Win 10, C, layout, simple, type, basic, file system, NTFS, status, healthy, boot, page file, crash dump, primary partition, capacity, 465.20 GB, free space, 211.75 GB, percent free, 46% 7 of 8. Okay, so this is my Windows 10 C colon where the OS is installed. Now if you press tab, now previously the disk management tool was kind of not accessible, but now
it has been, so we are good to go. Okay, so if you press tab,
graphical view table, disk 0, region 1 volume label win10, drive letter C.
Now, as I said, partitions are kind of a virtual way of managing the available capacity of the complete disk. Okay, so in my case, I'm having a hard drive which is 500 gigs long, 500 gigs of size, sorry, which is gonna die. Okay, but I have installed an operating system, and in that hard drive I haven't created any partitions except the system reserved and the main Windows 10 C:, okay, which is 465 gigs or something. Okay, now if you come to the graphics sort of things, where after the list, if you press tab, you will be landed on a graphical sort of things where you can navigate by using arrow keys. Don't worry about that. Windows will name disks as disk 0, disk 1, disk 2, disk 3. Okay, so for instance, say you have your main hard drive which will be disk 0 by default, and if you plug a USB flash drive, it will be disk 1. Okay, and also remember, we are not talking about only hard drives. Okay, this theory is applied to USB and memory cards as well. Okay, so you can create multiple partitions on USB flash drives and memory cards, all those things. Okay, so that's there. Now let's see what we have got by pressing the up arrow.
Disk 0 row header capacity 465.76 GB. Disk type basic. Disk status online selected.
Okay, this is the hard drive which I was talking about, the 500 gigs. And if we press down arrow, we can move to the next disk.
Disk 1 row header capacity 119.23 GB. Disk type basic. Disk status online selected.
Let's go another down arrow.
Disk 2 row header capacity 931.51 GB. Disk type basic. Disk status online selected.
Right, so this is sort of a table, and if you press right arrow after selecting a disk, you will move on partitions. Okay,
disk 2 region 1 volume label files, drive letter not set, file system NTFS capacity 20.01 GB, volume layout simple volume. Disk 2 region 2 volume label data, drive letter E. So disk is the physical hard drive, volume is the partition where you have divided your disk. Okay, so hope I am clear, and also if you have got any questions or any other things, let me know. I'll do my best to help you out. Okay, don't worry about that. Now disk 2 row disk 0 row header capacity 465.
Let's see. Now since I have only two partitions in the 465 GB where my operating system has been installed,
disk 0 region 1 volume label win10, drive letter C, file system NTFS capacity 465.20 GB, volume layout simple volume status healthy, boot page file crash dump, primary partition selected. Disk 0 region 2 volume label system reserved, drive letter not set, file system NTFS capacity 574 MB, volume layout simple volume.
Okay, so let's create a partition. Okay, so I'm gonna show how to create a partition. So let's see now in my case, since I have divided the 500 gigs hard drive to two partitions as system reserved, which is about 600 MB, and the rest of the size is for the main thing Windows 10, which is 465 gigs. Okay, so in order to divide or create a new partition, we have to shrink the size from an existing partition, in our case the Windows 10, and we can create one. Okay, now
disk 0 region 1 volume label win10, drive.
We can select the Win10 C partition in my case and press applications key, where you will get options,
context menu,
and let's see what other options we have got. Open, explore,
mark partition as active M,
mark partition as active. Now be careful guys, do not mess with this thing, because if you mark the partition as active where your operating system files is not installed here, actually you will ruin your system. Okay, so that will be a mess. Okay, so in my case actually, the necessary files to start up or boot up my operating system is installed or has been placed in the system reserved partition. Okay, so if we select the
disk 0 region 2 volume label system
reserved partition of this disk, the physical disk, and if we right click this,
context menu, open unavailable O.
Open unavailable, that is because we haven't assigned a drive letter. Every partition or every volume should have a drive letter associated with it in order to manage and copy paste files. Okay, so you know, C colon, D colon, all those things. I hope you have understood that.
Explore unavailable E. Mark partition as active unavailable M.
Now since we cannot the reason where we cannot mark this partition as active is because that is already is the active. Okay, so hope I'm clear. Sorry for the bad English actually.
Change drive letter and paths. C. Format. Change drive letter.
Change drive letters and paths is the option where you can assign a drive letter or remove a drive letter from this. I will show in a minute.
Format unavailable F.
Format unavailable because of not assigning a drive letter.
Extend volume unavailable X.
Extend volume is unavailable as every size is not available. Okay.
Shrink volume H.
Shrink volume if we want.
Add mirror unavailable A.
Add mirror.
Delete volume unavailable D.
Delete volume.
Properties P.
Properties.
Help H. Open unavailable.
Okay. So let's select the Windows 10C.
Disk 0. Region 1 volume label Win10. Drive letter C. Files context menu.
And what is the option we are looking for is the shrink H. Okay.
So H. Properties. Delete volume unavailable D. Add mirror unavailable. Shrink volume H.
Okay. Shrink volume H.
Extend volume unavailable X.
Now the extend volume is used if say you have shrinked the volume. Okay, let's do it for right now.
Shrink volume H.
Shrink volume.
Querying shrink space dialog. Querying volume for available shrink space. Please wait. Querying volume for available shrink space.
It will give us the maximum amount which we can shrink from this drive in MB. Okay, so 1024 MB is equal to 1 GB in computer's term. Okay, but we have rounded into 1000 MB. Okay, so it is
shrink C.
Okay.
Dialog total size before shrink in MB 476,365 size of available shrink space in MB 216,493 total size after shrink in MB 259,872. You cannot shrink a volume beyond the point where any unmovable files are located. See the DEPRAC event in the application log for detailed information about the operation when it is completed. See shrink a basic volume and disk management help for more information. Enter the amount of space to shrink in MB. Edit Alt plus E selected 216,493.
Okay, so as you heard, this is the maximum amount which we can shrink. Okay, so in our case I'm not gonna shrink everything because it is necessary to run the operating system. Okay, so let's
blank selection.
Let's see, let's have about 20 gigs. Okay, so 1024 times 20 is 2048, 20,400 or something. Let's see, 20480. Okay, so that is the size.
Enter the amount of space to shrink in MB. Edit focus Alt plus E 20,480.
All right, 20,480. Okay, now press tab,
shrink button Alt plus S,
and you can find this shrink button. Press enter or spacebar.
Disk management 1 to 1 level 0.
Now let's press tab.
Graphical view table.
Now we have to find. Now let's see whether we have shrinked the volume correctly.
List Windows 10 F layout simple. Disk 1 Win 10 C layout simple type basic file system NTFS status healthy boot page file crash dump primary partition capacity 445.20 GB free space 1.
Yeah, 445 GB where before it was 465. Now since we have got 20 gigs out of it, now we have 445 gigs. Okay, now the in graphics or in visual it shows an unallocated space where you have to right click and click on new simple volume. Okay, now fortunately it is accessible. What you have to do is press tab to get to the graphical kind of thing table.
Graphical view table disk 0 region 1 volume label Win 10 drive letter C.
Now select the appropriate partition which you, appropriate disk. In our case it is disk 0, and move to the right and you will see the unallocated space, which is in our case is 20 gigs. Okay, so let's see a right arrow.
Disk 0 region 2 volume label not set drive letter not set file system not set capacity 20.00 GB volume
right.
Layout unallocated volume status unallocated selected.
Unallocated volume status is unallocated. So this is the volume which we are looking at. So let's right click or applications key
Context menu.
and press down arrow, and as the first option you will get
New simple volume I.
new simple volume I. So there are other options as well which are unavailable. I'm not sure what those things.
New span volume, unavailable N. New stripe volume, unavailable T. New mirror volume, unavailable R. New RAID 5 volume, unavailable W. Properties P. Help H. New simple volume I.
So new simple volume is a sort of a small wizard where you have to click next, next, next and fill the options. Okay, so let's press enter.
New simple volume wizard dialog. This wizard helps you create a simple volume on the disk. A simple volume can only be on a single disk. To continue, click next. Welcome to the new simple volume wizard. Next greater than button Alt plus N.
Let's press enter.
New simple volume wizard property page maximum disk space in MB 20,479 minimum disk space in MB 8 simple volume size in MB edit Alt plus S selected 20,479.
Alright, so it has selected the maximum size which we want. Okay,
20,479.
so let's press tab.
Less than back button Alt. Next greater than button Alt plus N.
Next.
Rest. New simple volume wizard property page. Assign the following drive letter. Radio button check Alt plus A.
Okay, so if you want to keep the volume as secret, okay, so in my case I have kept some volumes as secret, so you know those will be protected. You can turn this radio button to
Edit blank. Assign the follow. Do not assign a drive letter or drive path. Radio button check Alt
do
plus
not
D.
assign a drive letter or drive path. So in our case I need the drive letter, so let's press down arrow
Assign the following drive letter. Radio button check Alt
and
plus A.
press tab.
Drive letter combo box G collapsed.
Drive letter is G. Okay, that would be fine. Now you can change from the available list, available drive letters, A through Z. Okay,
Less than back button Alt plus next greater than button Alt
Next.
plus N. Rest. New simple volume wizard property page. Choose whether you want to format this volume and if so, what settings you want to use. Format this volume with the following settings. Radio button check Alt plus O.
okay, so if you want you can format the volume with the following settings, or else you can leave as it is without formatting, which will say that you cannot copy files, okay, before formatting. Okay, so let's format the drive right now. Let's press tab.
File system combo box NTFS collapsed Alt plus F.
File system NTFS, let's leave it as it is.
Allocation unit size combo box default collapsed Alt plus A.
Alright, let's leave it as default.
Volume label edit Alt plus V selected new volume.
Volume label is new volume, so let's change it to, let's say data. No, let's say files. Okay, no, files. There is a volume called files in my system. Okay, local disk. Okay,
Select.
local disk. Let's press tab.
Perform a quick format checkbox check Alt plus P.
Okay, that would be fine.
Enable file and folder compression checkbox not checked Alt plus E.
That would also be fine.
Less than back button next greater than button Alt plus N.
Next.
Rest. Property page. You have successfully completed the new simple volume wizard. You selected the following settings. Completing the new simple volume wizard. To close this wizard, click finish. List. Volume type. Simple volume.
So there are a summary of what we have done.
Volume type. Simple volume selected. Disk selected. Disk 0 selected. Volume size 20,479 MB selected. Drive letter or path G selected. File system NTFS selected. Allocation unit size default selected. Volume label local disk selected. Quick
Okay.
format yes selected.
Quick format.
Enable file and folder compression no selected.
Right.
Less than back finish button.
So as soon as we press finish, the system will start to format the volume which we have created.
Rest disk management. Graphical view table. Disk 0. Region 2 volume label colon not set. Drive letter not set. File system. Disk 0 row header capacity 465. Disk 0 region 1 volume label colon win 10. Disk 0 region 2 volume label colon local disk. Drive letter G file system NTFS capacity 20.00 GB volume layout simple volume status healthy primary partition select.
Fantastic. It has been formatted the drive and we are good to go. So to check that, press Windows E to open this PC.
This PC window items view list
And press L.
items view list devices and drives grouping expanded local disk.
Alright.
G, win local disk G row 2 column 2 12 of 12 space 3 19.9 GB total size 19 local
Press
disk G.
enter. Now we have a simple volume which we have created by shrinking our main system partition, which is ready to go. Okay, so this is how you create and manage partitions. So let me show now
Disk management
how to revert the thing by deleting the partition, and let's extend the size back to the Windows 10 C colon in my case. Okay, so
disk 0 region 1 volume disk 0 region 2 volume label colon local disk drive letter.
let's select the volume which we have created. In my case it is local disk 20 gigs, and right click or press applications key and find the delete option.
Context menu help A properties delete volume D.
Now make sure you have backed up every file, because as soon as you deleted the volume or the partition, all of the files will be destroyed. Okay, so let's press enter.
Delete simple volume dialog. Deleting this volume will erase all data on it. Back up any data you want to keep before deleting. Do you want to continue? No, but Alt plus N.
So in our case, since there are no any data, we can delete it very freely.
Yes, but Alt plus Y.
Yes.
Disk management. Graphical view table. Disk 0. Region 2 volume label : local disk. Drive letter G5.
Alright. So select the partition which you want to extend the size to. So in our case, it is
Disk 0. Region 1 volume label : Win10. Drive letter C.
Win10. Drive letter C. And let's press the applications key and find the extend option.
Context menu help proper delete volume add mirror shrink volume extend volume X.
Okay, so in our case right now it is available, so extend volume is not a problem. So let's press enter, and this is also a wizard, a small wizard.
Extend volume wizard dialog. This wizard helps you increase the size of simple and span volumes. You can extend the volume by adding space from one or more additional disks. Welcome to the extend volume wizard. To continue, click next. Next greater than button Alt plus N.
Next.
Property page total volume size in megabytes. MB 476,364 maximum available space in MB 20,479. You can only extend the volume to the available space shown below because your disk cannot be converted to dynamic, or the volume being extended is a boot or system volume. Available list unknown.
Okay, so here something is wrong. Okay, let's press tab.
Less than remove button Alt plus R. Less than remove all button Alt plus M. Selected list disk 0. Disk 0. Select the amount of space in MB. Edit Alt plus E. Selected 20,479.
Alright, that would be fine.
Less than back button Alt plus next greater than button Alt plus.
Because that is the maximum.
Rest unavailable. Extend volume wizard property page. You selected the following settings.
Alright, so let's press enter to finish the wizard.
Disk management. Graphical view table. Disk 0.
Alright.
1 volume label : Win10. Drive letter C. File system. NTFS. Capacity 445. Disk 0 row header capacity.
Let's select again.
Disk 0 region 1 volume label : Win10. Drive letter C. File system. NTFS. Capacity 465.20 GB.
Righto. We are good to go. We have created a partition from the ground up by shrinking an existing partition size, and again lastly we have deleted the created partition and extended the size back to the partition where we have shrink the size from. Alright, so this is how you can manage any disk by dividing the sizes into several volumes, which will make your files and make your computer organized. Okay, so you can store movies in a separate partition, and if you have got a lot of games, then you can store that in a separate partition, all those things. So depends on how you plan to organize your computer. Okay, so I think this has been a little longer, but I'm sorry about that. But I really hope you have learned something, and if you learned something, please let me know in the comment section. And if you have got any ideas, comments, any other things, let me know in the comment section. I'll be glad to help you out, and also accept all of your ideas and suggestions for future videos as well. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Signing out, Mohomed Rashad.